Folks, this is an old sinner saved by grace. Pastor Michael Hoggard, pastor of Bethel Church in Festus, Missouri, and head of prophetic research ministry with another Watchman video broadcast. You know, I mean that thing, an old sinner saved by grace. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't think that I am some exalted great. Why, everybody wants to be like Michael. I guarantee you, you don't want to be like me. Good to be with you folks this week. I'm back. Some of you said I'd never make it, but I'm back anyway. Glad to be here. We had a good time down in Van Buren, Arkansas last weekend. I heard some good preaching, and I need to hear some good preaching. I need preached at every now and then is what I need. And I asked the Lord to do that, and He gave it to me. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that God brought me back safely, and here today to bring you some things that I saw coming here a while back. And let me just run down the program for you today. We've got the Supreme Court doing stupidly. Oh, we've got the setup. We have, I'm going to talk about the setup for biometric ID cards. What's going to set us up to get us there? And you might be surprised on that. What is setting us up for a mark of the beast system where, you know, like the elite Illuminati control all the banking in the world? We're looking at that. And I've got some stuff on BP. You'll want to see this, I promise you. But let's start off at the beginning here. Our Supreme Court acting stupidly. Constitution takes hit from Supreme Court. The fundamentals of the U.S. Constitution possibly have been shoved one step closer to irrelevance by the U.S. Supreme Court, which yesterday cited an international treaty that has not been adopted in the U.S. as support for its opinion. The issue is raising alarms for those who have been fighting the trend toward adopting international standards for American jurisprudence rather than relying on a strict application of the Constitution. It is bad enough for the Supreme Court to engage in judicial activism, said Michael Ferris of the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. It is far worse when the justices employ international law in supporting of their far-reaching edicts. We have not ratified the UN Child's Rights Treaty. Its provisions should not be finding their way into Supreme Court decisions, he said. Roger Kiska, legal counsel for the Alliance Defense Fund, who is based in Europe, said the Supreme Court's use of an unadopted precedent completely overlooks the checks and balances system that is established by the U.S. Constitution. The Graham v. Florida decision dealt with whether young people could be sentenced to life prison terms if they haven't killed the victims of their crimes. It arose in the case of Terrence Graham, implicated in armed robberies when he was 16 and 17. Now, he is now 23 and is in a Florida prison for life. Justice Anthony Kennedy, who frequently swings to the liberal side of the court, said such life sentences are not allowed. The state has denied him any chance to later demonstrate that he is fit to rejoin society based solely on a non-homicide crime that he committed while he was a child in the eyes of the law. Kennedy's majority opinion said, this, the Eighth Amendment, does not permit. Now, here's what he wrote. Now, this is what we were warning about last year when Obama started bringing all these people and all these czars and all these advisors, one of which, I can't remember who it was espousing the idea that we, as the United States and the judges of the United States, should look to other countries' laws to see how they might work well here when making judicial decisions. That is 100% contrary to the legal basis of our country right now. We are American citizens. Our laws are our laws. If we wanted other people's laws, we would pass their laws in our country. And so we warned about this, and here it is right here. The Supreme Court is already looking to other nations to get approval for our laws. Here's what Kennedy wrote. We also note, as petitioner and his amici emphasize, that Article 37A of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child... Stop right here. I had people sending me stuff, even back before we started this broadcast, and I'd started doing research, years ago, on the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. And I actually read part of this thing, and it was absolutely ridiculous what the UN says children should have access to, and what children should be allowed to do and not to do under this treaty. And those of us who believe in corporal, biblical discipline or punishment according to the Scriptures, those of us who believe in that, saw that treaty as a threat to our rights and our obligations as Christian parents to train our children in the way that God tells us to train them. In other words, the UN Treaty to the Rights of the Child would have outlawed and banned corporal punishment for children. Would have done away with it. Would have made you a criminal for doing what the Bible told you to do. And so I've been against this thing. And so our country never, ever adopted this as a treaty. We never voted on it. We never said, yeah, that's a good idea. We want that here. Our congressmen haven't approved it. Nobody says this is a good idea for our well, nobody with a brain says this is a good idea for our country. And yet now we have a Supreme Court Justice of the United States, a Supreme Court Justice, someone who swears an oath, an allegiance to the Constitution of the United States as the supreme law of the land. Their job, their one job, okay? We don't hire the Supreme Court people to go out and dig ditches or build houses or shoot guns. Their one job is to adjudicate the laws or the cases in this country that may or may not be, here it is, constitutional. And so here is Justice Kennedy writing concerning the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child. He says, November 20th, 1989, ratified by every nation except the United States and Somalia. Now I want to stop right there. Okay? I don't know if you know anything about Somalia. Okay? They're the pirates. Arr, okay? The Somalians are the pirates. They're the people. The Somalia has no stable government right now. And if you go to Somalia, you do so at the expense of your own life. If you go to Somalia, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be slaughtered in the street somewhere. I mean, that's Somalia. Of course, that could be Chicago, too, for all that matters. But anyway, this is what I got out of this. Here is Justice Kennedy. And supposedly, we call him Your Honor. There's no honor in this statement. He just compared the United States of America with Somalia. That's what he just did. So he said, ratified by every nation, except the United States and Somalia, it prohibits the imposition of life imprisonment without possibility of release for offenses committed by persons below 18 years of age. Kennedy's opinion continued. The court has treated the laws and practices of other nations and international agreements as relevant to the Eighth Amendment, not because those norms are binding or controlling, but because the judgment of the world's nations that a particular sentencing practice is inconsistent with basic principles of decency demonstrates that the court's rationale has respected reasoning to support it. So in other words, we don't think that this is right because there's a treaty out there, that a bunch of other nations decided that they like, that our country hasn't ratified. Let's see, who am I being paid by? Our country, they decided that our country didn't like it, and yet we like it, or I like it, and I'm going to base my decision based upon somebody else's law. And I'll tell you, we have way too much. The seeds are growing in this country that we are facing a new America. An America that's not based upon the Bible, and an America that's not based upon the rule of the laws generally agreed upon and accepted by the citizens of this country. We're dealing with a new America that is global, that looks to the other worlds, that looks to the other nations, the other kingdoms, the other peoples. We are forgetting our heritage, and we're forgetting the very laws upon which our nation was based. Leviticus chapter 18, verse 5. God told His people, "Ye shall therefore keep my statutes." Not the statutes of the Moabites. Don't worry about what they say. Not the statutes of the Canaanites. Don't even go there with me. In fact, God said, just stay away from the Canaanites altogether. He said, "You shall therefore keep my statutes and judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Lord."